When maintaining your daily wellness rituals is important to you, the change in routine during the summer can feel daunting. Kachava's new travel packs help you stick to your daily ritual, even when you're on the go. Just one packet of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake provides complete nutrition with 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, adaptogens, and much more. So you'll be fueled and ready for wherever life or your summer adventures take you. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. But you can try it for yourself because the Variety Pack includes all 6 delicious fan favorites: chocolate, vanilla, chai, matcha, coconut acai, and strawberry. So instead of worrying about sticking to your daily ritual, simplify it with Kachava. Go to kachava.com and use code NEWS for 15% off. That's KACHAVA.com, code NEWS.
It's Carney versus Poilievre on a technical recession, while Trump pokes and raises once more the 51st state. This is Now You Know. I'm Rob Snow.
The answers you need
from the people in the know.
This is Now You Know with Rob Snow on News Radio.
If the Canadian economy is in a recession, you won't hear that word from Mark Carney. It's more of a settling in for the Prime Minister in his first remarks since the economic data was released on Friday of last week.
We make major investments, major changes to how the government operates, how we do major projects, how we have new trade agreements with other countries. It's always difficult. I should always remember to go up the stairs more slowly or get in better shape. As we do all that, the data is going to be uneven. And, we see some weakness, in part because of clear decisions by the government. So we have taken back control of immigration. That's meant the population growth has flattened. In fact, it's slowed, or it's been negative for the last 2 quarters. We have reined in government spending. So it had been growing close to 10%. It's growing less than 2% now. So that's also something that weighs on. There's some other choppiness in terms of how investment is happening. But we're also seeing at the same time the foundations coming into place, settling in for that stronger, more resilient economy.
For days, the Conservatives have been standing in the House of Commons calling the performance of the Canadian economy a full-blown liberal recession. They tried but failed to hold an emergency debate on that matter. Well, Pierre Poilievre accused the Prime Minister of being in hiding.
The Prime Minister has been in hiding from this devastating economic report. And when he does finally appear, he can't even answer a basic yes or no question. What he should have said is that, yes, we are in a recession. And yes, the single mothers who are having to turn back items at the checkout in grocery stores and then go to food banks that have also run out of food, they deserve a Prime Minister who will look them in the eye and say, admit that there is a recession. The young couple that's been working for 4 years, living in a 400 square foot apartment, can't afford a home, they deserve the Prime Minister to tell them the truth, that yes, he has caused them a recession.
NDP MP Don Davies says the government's economic policies aren't working, mainly because he thinks they're conservative policies.
Well, I don't think it's a check mark in his corner. He is a noted economist. He has taken very, very deliberate and I would argue very conservative economic policies in this Parliament, and so far they're not working, I guess, is the obvious answer. When you have 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, that doesn't bode well for your economic policies.
Politicians in Ottawa aren't the only ones keeping tabs on the performance of the Canadian economy, it would seem. So is Donald Trump. The U.S. president reposted a news report from Bloomberg about the technical recession with the caption, 51st state. That was later reposted by the U.S. ambassador to Canada, Pete Hextra. Speaking in Quebec City, Prime Minister Carney said he's not paying attention to what the U.S. president posts on social media.
The president is an exceptionally active user of social media. You probably can chart his usage of it. It's only gone up in recent months, and we're not going to respond or react to everything that he posts.
That 51st state jab had the press gallery buzzing on Parliament Hill, who also wanted to know what Pierre Poilievre thought about it. The Conservative Party leader called it a distraction.
It's ridiculous, and it's never going to happen. And we have to make sure that we don't allow ridiculous comments like that to distract us from the very real suffering that Canadians are experiencing as a result of Liberal policies here at home. The families who can't afford food, the 1 in 4 Canadians who are living in food insecurity. They don't want us to be distracted by a foolish comment like that. They want us to focus on reversing the Liberal policies that have made them hungry in the first place.
We expect there to be fireworks in the House of Commons later today. Question period will start in a couple of hours from now, and the Prime Minister is expected to be there to face off against Mr. Poilievre once more, with recession sure to come up. Meantime, we still await the government's new strategy for AI. We will talk about that next and debate all of these big issues in federal politics right after the news at the bottom of the hour with our federal political analysts. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is News Radio.
Critical thinking is not dead.
Now You Know with Rob Snow
Returns on News Radio.
Well, this week, the Carney government is expected to unveil Canada's long-awaited strategy for AI, dubbed AI for All. To talk about it, we are joined by Vas Bednar, Managing Director at the Canadian Shield Institute and also a Senior Fellow at the Centre for International Governance Innovation. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
In a perfect world, in your opinion, what would be included in a Canadian government AI strategy?
What would be included would be a broader vision for how we are going to govern the digital or intangible economy, right? So to borrow the language, the asset-based language of the Carney government, data, right, and information and intellectual property are intangible assets. They are how value captured and created in the 21st century. And we're starting to think about things like sovereign compute and sovereign cloud. So we're very focused on kind of the underlying infrastructures, but I would like to see a vision for what are these infrastructures in service of, right? Beyond basic capacity for researchers and entrepreneurs.
How do you think your vision will compare to what we'll see this week from the government?
It's so hard to say. I mean, the rollout has been so kind of clunky already, right? Okay, a leak to the CBC. Our think tank hasn't been invited to like a stakeholder lockup or briefing. Maybe that's, still to come. It seems both like rushed and delayed. I think we've been focusing on how to use the technology, and we're in this moment that still is characterized a little bit by hype, right? There's a lot of tension right now. A lot of companies are reporting that they do not see the value add from AI adoption. At the same time, AI adoption in Canada is historically low. So what it seems like is coming to us from Canada is a push to really adopt and embed a technology that is imperfect, right? A technology that makes promises it can't always keep. And to build trust, right? To build trust through increased literacy. Here's the thing. I tend to trust products when they work. Okay? So again,
all right.
It comes back to governance for me. And I don't know how we put forward an AI strategy without also updating our privacy legislation and sort of having that vision for, again, governing the data economy. And I'm sorry to sound boring, but the thing with the intangibles economy is it's like always this afterthought or this add-on because it I guess maybe because it doesn't have its own distinct kind of economic geography, but to just speak millennial for a second, like everything is computer, like the NAICS and the statistical codes we use to divide and characterize the economy don't capture the digital layer very well, because we look at it as a slice of like ICT, right? Well, if you're in agriculture, you are in a digitized, tech-driven economy, right? Anyway.
Okay. I hear this term all the time, digital sovereignty. How would you explain what that is? What is digital sovereignty? I would explain it in two ways. I mean, digital sovereignty is the ability to govern the digital ecosystem that you have. So digital information, it's both relates to the storage of information and kind of associated capacity, but it also relates to the broader knowledge economy, right? The ability, in an ad tech saturated online world to be free from, undue influence, right? Those kind of freedom of thought elements. That's how I would frame up digital sovereignty. It is a software and hardware challenge, but it's ultimately a governance challenge. And when speaking about sovereignty broadly, I always remind people, like, it sounds fancy, but it is simple. Can you govern the economy you have? That's a yes or a no. The thing with sovereignty is that when you go to the yes side of that quiz or that decision tree, you're kind of not done, because the next question is, okay, are you? And Canada has a lot of instances where we can govern the economy we have, and we've chosen not to, or we've stood on the sidelines. And some of our digital sovereignty is absolutely related to that. Other elements of digital sovereignty, we've compromised ourselves. We've lost capacity. We gave it away through trade agreements. And there's both a bunch of stuff in the digital chapter of CUSMA, but also complementary legislation that predated that trade agreement, the Cloud Act and FISA, that governs, digital information flows between the U.S. and Canada and elsewhere. And that makes us vulnerable to having our information unduly accessed, unprotected, and just our access to digital platforms that are American throttled. So what do you think could be done then to, say, shore up Canada's digital sovereignty?
There are all sorts of things that can be done. I mean, the EU is doing some interesting things. It was just reported yesterday that starting this week, the European Parliament is going to replace Google with a French search engine as a default search tool on in-house computers. So again, that's a government choice. That's interesting, right? Alternatives are out there, but they require adoption and support. So I would offer to you that sovereignty is a team sport, and Canada is going to have to move beyond the kind of false dichotomy of, is achieving sovereignty going to happen through the state itself, or is it going to happen through entrepreneurs building the future that we need in future companies? It's going to be both. It's going to be an ongoing collaboration. Building credible alternatives for public digital infrastructure, yes, love that. This is the moment. We need that institutional imagination. And also actually supporting our own companies. There are so many times where we report back to Canadians proudly and we say, OMG, we gave this money, our money that we're trying to use to build up our capacity to a quote unquote Canadian company. And then you kind of click on the story or you read the fine print and it's Microsoft Canada or Huawei Canada or Google Canada. It's like, what are we doing here? And that's not sovereignty either.
Right. Okay. A few more questions if you'll hang tight. Vas Bednar, Managing Director, Canadian Shield Institute, and Senior Fellow as well, Center for International Governance Innovation. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
Now Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
We're talking about the federal government's long-awaited strategy for AI to be released this week, if reports are accurate. Vas Bednar is our guest, Managing Director, Canadian Shield Institute. And you said earlier, it feels rushed but delayed, and it has been delayed multiple times. This was supposed to be released 5 months ago. Why do you think it's taken so long to come up with a strategy for AI? Is it that the technology is outpacing government?
I tend to reject that premise that, technology moves so fast that, government regulators, can't keep up. There's a real tension with AI in terms of, when we tried to regulate AI before, right, it was through that kind of 3-in-1 privacy bill, which I think at one point was C11, but the numbers changed. It came forward, it died, it was reintroduced, debated for a few years, died. And we were trying to do two things at once. We were trying to regulate both the creation and production of AI and its application. That proved very difficult. It's actually rare that kind of one piece of legislation would do that. Now that it's coming back, or sort of is AI specific, I'm okay with legislative frameworks taking a little bit of time if what we see is going to get it right. So we had this 1-month sprint in October, where ideas were brought forward and ingested, and Minister Solomon let us know that an algorithmic system was also going to be used to, summarize and analyze the inbound. Okay, that's one way to sort of get some speed. What then, right? And the tension is just between adoption to sort of either adopt American-based systems and embed them into our economy here, or support Canadian-based systems and embed them into our economy here, when we're in, one, a very desperate, frustrated moment when it comes to boosting our productivity, and two, let's not ignore the layer of a trade war, because anything we do that could be seen to minimize or govern or impose expectations on large American firms could be met with retaliation. But even President Trump is starting to impose safety-based regulation on AI companies. It was just recently announced that before an AI product comes to the market, the Trump administration wants at least 30 days to sort of review things for safety. So that's what's been going on. That's the water in which we're swimming and making policy.
Okay. We only have about 30 seconds left. Very quickly. Should there be an age limit to use AI? Should there be an age limit, do you think?
I don't know. I do know that there are plenty of technologies and products that we guard younger people from using. And given the various safety concerns associated with AI, being really thoughtful about accessing smart to me.
Okay. I thank you so much for your insight today. Great to hear from you.
Thank you.
Look forward to reading all about your reaction. I know you've been doing a lot of writing for the Globe and Mail about it. Thank you again, Vas Bednar, from the Canadian Shield Institute. Our examination at midweek of federal politics is coming up next here on News Radio.
Now you know with Rob Snow continues on News Radio.
It's time for our Wednesday Newsday panel, a midweek look at federal politics with Cam Holmstrom, principal at Niipaawi Strategies. Hello, Cam. Welcome back. Good to hear from you.
Always good to be here, Rob.
Thank you so much. Deirdra Tindale is back as well, Vice President at Crestview Strategies. And it's great to hear from you as well, Deirdra. How are you?
Great to be back, Rob. Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Good. Well, the economy's in the tank. There's no deal with the U.S. on trade. Separation is brewing on two fronts. And yet, according to one poll, the Carney government is the most popular government in 23 years in Canada. How do you explain that, Deirdra Tindale?
I think at the end of the day, Canadians want to feel safe somehow. And regardless of how much the opposition parties are throwing at the Prime Minister and the Liberal government at the moment, I think Prime Minister Carney still appears to be that safe pair of hands for all the speeches that he gives and for sometimes the very technical explanations to very basic issues. I really do think he's still seen as competent and safe at a time when that is what Canadians are ultimately looking for in a leader.
Okay. How do you explain it, Cam?
Well, first off, Rob, I even take issue with the framing of how you put it. Technical recession piece, that just happened. The piece around separation, Quebec separation is not as popular as it has been for the last 40 years. So that's status quo. There are other things that are flaring, absolutely. But I think to kind of to Deirdre's point, I think this is what it is. People are looking what's happening, the challenges that we're facing, and what the cause for them are at this point. And the fact is, I don't think people are not looking at Mr. Carney as being the reason for a lot of the issues, in particular the economic piece and the trade piece. Donald Trump's made it very clear what he wants to do to us. We have a deal. We have one in writing. He negotiated back in 2018, did Mr. Trump. Is it going to last much longer? We don't know. But you know what? We're already hearing it that, Mr. Trump, no matter what he does, wants tariffs of some sort. So I think most Canadians want Mr. Carney to kind of stand up and play the long game here. Play hardball. Don't collapse and give in. Because let's just be honest. Compared to how we've done this versus what others have done, we saw what the UK and the EU and others have done, and Trump's gone back on his word every single time on those things when any kind of minor irritant came up. So I think people are looking at this and realizing this is much more of a this is them not us situation. Will that last forever? No, absolutely not. But I would argue that one of the things that is helping Mr. Carney here is that, look, and I think I've said here before, he's not being compared against the Almighty. He's being compared against the alternatives. And frankly, the alternatives aren't really giving Canadians much to look at this point and making it easier for them to stay with Mr. Carney.
I wanted to kind of turn this around. Okay, let's look at it another way, Deirdre. The economy is in the tank. There's no deal with the U.S. on trade, and separation is brewing on two fronts, and yet none of this appears to have been beneficial to Mark Carney's political opponents. Why do you think that is? Same reasons?
Well, I think it's not for lack of trying by some of his opponents. I just think that at some point people start to tune certain things out. And I think if the message isn't resonating, then you probably need to take another look at that. I also think it might feel like we've been hearing a lot of the same from the opposition parties for some time now. And they're probably just not seeing the proof points. And again, what is the alternative plan that's being put forward? And I think, we're going back to a lot of the same points. Like we would have repealed C-69 and we would have done this and that, when I think a lot of people are thinking to themselves, but surely we've moved on from that conversation if they're not, paying close attention to things like what is a major projects office actually doing, for example. So the government seems to have improved its narrative. I think the opposition needs to retool its narrative slightly to get some fresh ideas in there and get people a bit more excited.
Yeah. So whether it's the Conservatives or the New Democrats, I mean, this should be fertile territory, Cam. There's a lot of material to work with here, and yet none of it seems to be gaining any traction, to Deirdre's point. What do you think? Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I agree with a lot of what Deirdre just said, and I'll add to it is that, I think part of the problem for the opposition leaders in particular, Canadians made a judgment based on less on policy, more on who do you trust. And there's nothing that Mr. Poilievre has done to change that calculus. In fact, he's gone the other way. He's doubled down and doubled down. So that's not going to change people's view of it. The other thing I point out is that Mr. Poilievre spent a good part of the winter kind of moaning a bit that Mr. Carney was stealing his ideas and implementing them, right? So it's kind of hard to then spend months saying, oh, Mr. Carney, you're taking my ideas, and then say, okay, you're taking the economy by what, taking my ideas? right? It's like it doesn't resonate. It doesn't make sense. There's no separation there. I lived through this last 2 years with my former party trying to deal with the NDP. You can't sit there and take credit for what they're doing and say, oh, they're taking our policy, and then turn around and say, tut, 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 that's awful when it goes bad, right? So there is a dissonance there. But again, I think this comes back to this idea that, look, people's minds are in a different place. They're not necessarily worried about the individual issues. It's the bigger picture and how to navigate it, and understanding that, look, we're going through a rough time with a lot of instability, and a lot of that's outside of our hands. So it's like, okay, who's going to be the best temperament to deal with it? And I would argue that neither Mr. Poilievre and definitely not Mr. Lewis have shown themselves capable or even interested in meeting that moment.
Right. Okay, well, we'll talk a little bit about the New Democrats later. There have been, not this poll. This poll has the NDP stuck at 6%, but there have been other polls just in recent days that have shown the NDP 10 points higher. When we come back, this stuff about the 51st state, I must ask you about that. In case anyone's wondering, what was happening in Canadian politics 23 years ago when a government was at 50% in the polls? That was Jean Chrétien's government. And he had just rejected a request from George W. Bush to join the coalition to invade Iraq. That's what was happening then that put the Liberals at 50% support. We'll be right back talking federal politics here on News Radio.
There is no question Rob won't get answered.
Now You Know with Rob Snow continues
on News Radio.
Here with Deirdra Tindale, Vice President of Crestview Strategies, Cam Holmstrom, Principal Niipaawi Strategies. Cam, how do you react when Trump says anything these days about making Canada the 51st state? What's your reaction to that?
It's a pain in the rear end. It's an annoyance at the least. It just says he hasn't forgotten. The only guess cold comfort I can take is that it usually comes in the stream of consciousness of like 75 other messages at 3 a.m. So it's not like he's focused on that or much of anything else. It's just part of the rotation. I guess to me the upsetting part about this is it's less about him. It's more about those around him, especially the ambassador we've got here. Him running around the last few weeks saying, well, I don't understand why are you people so upset? I don't get it. He doesn't talk about that stuff anymore. And then he actually goes out and shares it, right? It's like it's such a big FU. It's a finger in the eye. And I'm kind of curious. So one of the big events in Ottawa every year is always the big 4th of July event at the ambassador's residence in Ottawa. And I heard someone commenting the other day saying those conversations are going to be interesting. And my thought was, what self-respecting person is going to that event? Why are you doing this, with this guy? And I'm kind of curious how many people are actually going to show up.
No, I mean, there is free booze. That'll probably get them through the door. Deirdre, what's your reaction when you hear this? 51st state. That's all it said. 51st state.
Yeah, I mean, I think like many people, I would say I have a bit of a visceral allergic reaction to it. But it just reminds me of when I was younger and my parents would tell me that, the schoolyard bully is just trying to get a reaction of you. Do not give them the satisfaction. And I think to Prime Minister Carney's credit, he doesn't generally, right? There are other leaders, of course, who choose to react and wear their heart on their sleeve. But he doesn't get overly excited, at least not publicly, about something that's been tweeted out to Cam's point at 3 a.m. So, I think it's one of those things where you can ignore it and continue on and do your job. And I guess to our discussion earlier, the Prime Minister is probably being compared more to Donald Trump than he is to Pierre Poilievre or Avi Lewis, right, in terms of how he handles himself, how he handles situations, and the demeanor that he carries as a statesman. When Canadians have as a comparison somebody who chooses to communicate by tweets from the bathroom, presumably that late at night. So it's I think to our advantage the way that our Prime Minister chooses to respond, at least publicly. We don't know what conversations are taking place behind the scenes. But I really think Canadians are fed up with, the President of the United States continuing to suggest that we are in some way going to become the 51st state of the U.S.
Do you think we in the news media make too much of a tweet like that? That was, to Cam's point, there were 47 tweets in 31 minutes, according to the Daily Beast, including that one about making Canada the 51st state. Do we make too much of it in the news media when we're asking the Prime Minister about it, when we're asking the Leader of the Opposition for reaction? Do you think we're making too much of it?
No, honestly, no. You have to say something like that. That's the thing. Well, here's the thing about it, right? Trump has blurted and bleated so many different things that sounded crazy until he did it, right? So you can't ignore it because he might actually do it, right? So to me, it happened, but you have to put it in the context of everything else that's going on, right? And let's just be real. You also have to pay attention to because what we're going on. You talked about the separation piece you're talking about earlier. We do know there are elements within that Alberta movement who are very mega and gung-ho, and we know they've been talking with the Americans, right? So I don't think it's happening totally in isolation as them trying to not just turn the screws on us or maybe break us apart. So you know what? You just can't ignore it.
You think it's newsworthy? Okay, you think it's newsworthy. Oh, yeah. Deirdra, do you think it's newsworthy that we should be asking about it?
I don't think it needs to be repeated every time he says it. I think there are different ways to frame it, obviously. There are ways to ask the Prime Minister about the current relationship of Canada and the U.S., for example, and how the trade discussions are going, for example. I wonder, though, if we stopped writing anything at all about the President of the United States tweets, specifically when he's referring to things like the 51st state, what sort of difference it would make. How many Canadians would then know about it? Would they just happen upon it themselves? Probably, but I do think, it's not something, we know what the answer is. The Prime Minister is never going to say, yeah, I've thought about it again, and, maybe it's not a bad idea, right? Like, that is never going to be his answer. So continuing to ask him, hey, did you see the tweet when he suggested it again? We're not going to get a different answer from the Prime Minister or from, I would say, the majority of Canadians. And so from that perspective, it probably isn't newsworthy, frankly.
Okay. When we come back, we have to talk about the state of trade talks. Where does that stand? And the Prime Minister on the technical recession when we come back with our panelists. This is News Radio.
You have questions.
Now You Know with Rob Snow has the answers.
On News Radio.
Our Wednesday Newsday panel, Federal Politics Our Focus with Cam Holmstrom and Deirdra Tindale. Deirdra, what's your sense of where things are with trade talks? Are they going anywhere?
Well, our trade minister yesterday said that he remains eternally optimistic, so we have to take that at face value. I have for some time thought that there is likely more happening behind the scenes than what we are reading in headlines. I think the government is being very cautious about what they choose to share and how, knowing how the U.S. administration tends to jump on things in the news and trying to recreate their own headlines. But look, we've now put a request on the table. We've now said, formally, we want the U.S. and Mexico to renew the Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement. So now let's let the Americans and the Mexicans, for that matter, tell us why that's not a great scenario and actually see what comes out as a response to that. I'm glad to see that we've actually put it out there that, this is what we think needs to be done. Over to you now to give a response.
Cam, where do you think things stand right now?
It's hard to say where they stand. Like, I agree with Deirdra in the sense I think things are happening behind the scenes. But let's just be honest. The fact is the Trump administration wants to bully people in public. And to his credit, Mr. Carney saying, no, we'll negotiate in private, which is how you normally would do things in a respectful way. The only thing I would point out is that for those who are rushing to get a deal now, so you got a deal, look at how that's worked out for the others. They all ended up with tariffs. They've all ended up getting hurt by Mr. Trump in a fit of pique. We still have Kuzma. We still have free trade access for a vast number of our things. And you're seeing the political, and as time goes on, time is our friend here, because the more political pressure builds on Mr. Trump, the more he has to do other things. He just lowered a bunch of tariffs the other day on aluminum and steel and other pieces because of the pressure he's feeling domestically. At some point, something has to give on that side. So to me, there is incentive to hang on and to try to push for that, because when you look what the Americans saying publicly, what are we giving up 50% of our auto sector? Like that's not going on. We're not giving up supply management. That ain't happening. And they're not offering to give up a thing. So at the end of the day, where's the deal to be made, right? You have to have some self-respect. And I'm of the position, I think that some others have said it, that in this circumstance, no deal is better than a bad deal, because we already have a deal right now. And you know what? That's the starting position, not some other fanciful place where other people are.
Quickly, Cam, we only have about 2 minutes here. 5 days, nothing from the Prime Minister on a stat scan reports this is technical recession. Then he comes out and says, well, it's because of decisions that we've made and the economy is settling in. What do you think about how the Prime Minister has handled the last few days on the recession talk?
I think in general, Mr. Carney needs to be in the House more and needs to be out there more. Like, he just needs to, especially because, let's be honest, he is the economist. That is his background. If he can talk and explain people through this, that's something that no one else in that House can do, and he could do it well. And let's just be real. He doesn't have the political background, so if he has to learn this skill, it's better for him to do it on an issue where he knows it than it is trying to figure it out later when he's going to have to. Because at some point he's going to have to. Because, I mean, again, this becomes a problem. Like honestly, he could be slow walking himself to an Ignatieff situation. I remember that night of that debate when Jack Layton hit him with it. Well, you don't show up to vote.
Yeah, exactly. Job. Yeah, you don't get a promotion if you don't show up for work. Sure. Okay, only 60 seconds left, Deirdra. Deirdra, what do you think?
I agree. It was a miss for the Prime Minister. The economy is his area. And I think, to me, this is starting to play into a bit of a line where he has maybe a bit of a disdain for Parliament. He doesn't like to show up to Parliament. He doesn't pay it that much attention. He didn't want to directly address the Parliamentary Budget Officer's reports previously, and now this is a StatsCan report that he's choosing not to respond to. So it starts to give a bit of an air of, he'll respond to the things that he wants, he'll comment on the things that he wants, and kind of brush aside the rest, when this should have been his opportunity to really shine and explain to Canadians what's going on.
Yeah. Well, he'll be in QP today. It should be a hot one, and I know you'll be watching it or taping it on your VCRs. Thank you to the both of you, Cam and Deirdra. Great to hear from you. Speak soon. Bye-bye. Deirdra Tindale, Vice President at Crestview Strategies in Montreal, and Cam Holmstrom, originally from Northern Ontario, Kenora, Ontario, in Ottawa today. I'm Rob Snow. Talkback is coming up next. Trump, Canada, 51st state. That's what we're talking about on Talkback today with your help right after the news on News Radio.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
And have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to Talkback. It's 2 hours of debate and discussion on the big issues of the day. Today, the 51st state. Trump, Canada, and the 51st state. Here's a question for you. Give this some thought and give us a call. Do you think we overreact in Canada when Donald Trump posts something on social media about wanting to make Canada the 51st state? What do you think? Do you think we overreact in Canada when that happens? Or is that something that we should take seriously as a country when he posts something along those lines about wanting to make Canada the 51st state? What's your opinion? 1-833-668-2577. What do you think? Do we make too much of it? Do we blow this out of proportion? Do we overreact? What do you say? Because he's at it again. Donald Trump, President of the United States, as you may have heard, the Canadian economy not doing so well in a technical recession. And apparently that got the attention of Donald Trump, who posted on social media a news story that was reporting that the Canadian economy is in a technical recession. And Trump included in his post, quote, 51st state. 51st state. And then that was reposted by the U.S. Ambassador to Canada, Pete Hegstra. 51st state. 51st state. And just like that, here we go again with news reporters, members of the press gallery scrambling to get comments from our political leaders. Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Prime Minister, Donald Trump posted something about the 51st state. What is your reaction, Mr. Prime Minister? His ambassador reposted it. Will you expel the ambassador from the country? Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Poilievre. What's your message to Donald Trump? about wanting to make Canada the 51st state. What would you tell Donald Trump about that, Mr. Polyev? Doug Ford. And on it goes. And just like that, everything old is new again. And the news of a year and a half ago is breaking news again about Donald Trump and the 51st state. Do we overreact when that happens? What do you think, everyone? 1-833-668-2577. Do we overreact? Or does Donald Trump still have his eyes on Canada? And he wants to make Canada the 51st state of the United States of America, and that is something that we have to be vigilant about. Because he means it. Because he's serious. He would love to have Canada. Share your opinions, please. I would love to hear from you on this today. We'd love to know what you think about this today. Trump, Canada, the 51st state. I mean, one of the more interesting developments, I think, on this latest social media missive from Donald Trump is how he didn't used to treat Mark Carney this way when Mark Carney first became prime minister. I mean, if you think back to when the prime minister first traveled to Washington and went to the White House and met with Donald Trump, gosh, the two seemed to get along just fine. Some were calling it a bromance, the Carney-Trump bromance. You remember Mark Carney told Donald Trump, some places are so special, Mr. President, like the White House, they'll never be for sale. And Donald Trump said, yeah, that's true. And Mark Carney had nice things to say about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump had nice things to say about Mark Carney. And so many were breathing a sigh of relief. Okay, Donald Trump seems to like Mark Carney. Donald Trump even seems to respect Mark Carney. And you could never say that about Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau. Oh, the worst is over. Maybe this 51st state stuff is behind us. But then, back in March, Donald Trump was back at it again. He called Mark Carney the future governor. The governor, that was back. The governor of Canada, Mark Carney. And some were like, oh, dear, here we go again. Here we go again. And now within the last 24 hours, once more, 51st state. And our news media, you know, we were on here, we were on there, we were on everywhere. We want to ask politicians about it. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And it's on the national news, and it's on the supper hour news, and it's in the newspapers, and it's all over social media. And we're, you know, chasing down Pete Hegstra, the U.S. ambassador. Why did you repost that? That Donald Trump wants to make Canada the 51st state. Do we overreact when that happens? I mean, look, I'm talking about it today. Am I overreacting because I'm talking about it and asking you about it today? Is this all a big overreaction? Or, I mean, is this a serious threat to our sovereignty? It's something we need to take seriously here in Canada. We need to stand on guard for thee and have our elbows up. What do you think? What's your opinion? We're open to hearing all opinions here on Talkback. And again, 1-833-668-2577. That's our call-in line. If you've never called before, just mention that, and we will make your call a priority, and let's kick it around for a couple of hours. Trump, Canada, the 51st state. Are we overreacting? I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. This is Talkback. And this is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Our topic today, Trump, Canada, and the 51st state. Do you think we overreact in Canada when Donald Trump posts something on social media about wanting to make Canada the 51st state? Do you think we overreact when that happens? I mean, it's happened in the last 24 hours, and it's been all over the news media. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that's something that we have to take seriously in this country? Because Trump really does, in his heart of hearts, want to make Canada the 51st state. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. Jason is a first-time caller, and he's calling from Calgary. Out to Calgary we go for the first time to speak to Jason. Hello, Jason.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, Jason. What's your opinion, Jason? Hi. Do you think we overreact when this happens?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. You know, we are Canadian. We do take pride in our country. But
Sure.
at the same time, you know, America sees the potential that we do have. So do other leaders of our country. And the leader of our current country is not running this country in a proper manner. Why are we in a G7 country heading into a recession? Like,
well, that's a fair question. That's a fair question. This is not the question we're asking today, but I appreciate that.
If he wants to talk about being a 51st state, maybe we'd be so much better if we were a 51st state. You know?
Do you
like? I feel that this country is not being run. This country should be run like a business. We have all these resources.
Okay.
We have all this land. We have all this, but yet we're not doing anything. We're investing our money in other countries prior to our own country.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, do you think you'd be better off as part of the United States? Is that what you're saying?
You don't know, and like hindsight's 20/20. Either way you look at it, right? So either we might be better off,
right?
Open up the broader borders, eliminate the tariffs. You know, I am Canadian. It irks me to see the way that this country has fallen since the Trudeau government, since Mark Carney. We're not getting anywhere. We haven't made any traction, and we're just falling behind everybody in multiple categories: education, healthcare, quality of life.
Okay. I don't want to go on kind of wandering all over the place. Like when you hear Donald Trump posted something on social media, wants to make Canada the 51st state. How do you react to something like that?
Well, at first he wanted to just make Alberta the 51st state, not the whole thing. So, like, yeah, like it doesn't irk me, but it's not like I want it to happen.
All right, Jason, thank you for your call. You've got us off to a good start. Staying in Calgary, Jonathan is up first. He's also a first-time caller. Hi, Jonathan.
Good morning, and how are you today?
Yeah, hi, Jonathan. I'm very good. Do you think we overreact when Donald Trump posts this stuff about 51st state? Do we overreact to it?
In some ways. For example, I think MAGA stands, and this is an important thing, for Make America Grimace Again. My relatives are in the States. They are so embarrassed by the comments that are made, the rhetoric, the teasing, and the rest. And so consequently, they get embarrassed whenever the president opens his mouth. And so in Canada, we have a rich heritage of being able to take bullying in a polite and kind way. It doesn't mean that we accept it. But my wise mother once said, son, if you cannot be thankful for what you have, and this is in reference to the last caller, at least be thankful for what you have escaped. And I think about all of the things that are happening in Canada that folks are upset about. But one of the things that I love is that in our country, we have a rationale and a conversation that takes place. And Canada's not perfect, neither is Alberta. Both have strengths we're celebrating and challenges that are worth addressing. There's always room to improve, but perspective really matters. Just looking at a glance beyond our borders reminds us that millions of people, Democrats, some Republicans, and some independents, live with wars and failing government and corruption and oppression and instability. And most Canadians, regardless of what their political ties are, enjoy freedom and opportunities. That doesn't mean that we stop striving for better relationships. But in a troubled world, we experience a small blessing. And for that, I'm very, very grateful.
Okay, yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to get at is how things have played out over the last 24 hours. This is one posting on social media, and we have reporters. They want to know what the prime minister thinks. They want to know what Pierre Poilievre thinks, and it's on the news. I mean, is that an overreaction to one post on social media? Or should we take that seriously because of who Donald Trump is and his actions with other countries, for example?
Well, there's no doubt that it sells papers. and airtime. But at the same point in time, I don't know, has it really accomplished an awful lot? And we have an opportunity to show folks how we behave when others being called and get down into the gutter. We are a leading country, and I'm confident that regardless of whether they're liberals or conservatives, we have the ability to react as Canadians. And we're pretty proud of the way we do.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you to Jonathan and Jason, a pair of first-time callers today to Talkback. And we'd love to hear from many more today at 1-833-668-2577, Trump, Canada. And here we go again, the 51st state. Have your say. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
The 51st state that's back in the news, but do we overreact when it hits the news? Do we make too much out of it? Is it overblown? What's your opinion? 1-833-668-2577 to Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia today. Glenn is on the line. Hello, Glenn.
Hey, Rob. How's it going?
Yeah, very, very good. Glenn, thank you. What's your opinion, Glenn? Do we make too much out of this 51st state stuff?
Absolutely. It's just a distraction.
Okay. Why do you say that?
Well, we have a thing called the Canadian Constitution, not the Charter, but the Constitution. We're still a colony of Britain. So any talk of the 51st state, they'd have to the states would have to go through England to.
I don't think so. We repatriated the Constitution, sir. You remember in 1982?
Yeah, 1982. Yeah, you should read further. At the end of the day, they would have to get permission from Great Britain. I mean, take a look at our money. Anything that we have to do, we have to go through their parliament. So, I don't know. I'd look into it a little further, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a distraction, and it's nothing to worry about. If anything like that would have happened, it's decades ahead. So.
Like when Trump issues, he puts 47 things on social media in 31 minutes, and one of those 47 things is about making Canada the 51st state, and it makes national news. Should it make the national news?
No, we got bigger fish to fry. The gentleman from Calgary, who was the first-time caller, he made a lot of sense. We got a lot of problems. We've been in a recession already. So we our young people don't have anywhere to work. We have a lot of foreign workers taking over those jobs. There's lots of things wrong with this country, and we got to sort that out first.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your call in Cole Harbour today. To Calgary, Candace is a first-time caller. Good to hear from you, Candace. What's your opinion, Candace?
Hello.
Hi, Candace.
Hi, thank you. So I really feel that there's two sides to this. Should we ignore it is the question, but the answer is how should we really respond to it? So currently, we are responding with extremism in general. And that's because we're feeling a lot of pain in Canada. I mean, and it's not Canada, it's the United States, it's the world right now. Lots of stuff's changing and shifting. And how we're responding just doesn't make sense. Like we have a rhetoric, we have something, but nobody's actually saying, this is the solution. They're saying 51st state. They're saying, let's separate. Let's say whatever, which all might be great ideas. We don't know. Nobody's actually giving real solutions. So the answer is elbows up, sure. The answer is separate, sure. But why? Like what's that going to solve? So there's no actual answers that anyone's providing to say, by becoming the 51st state, these are the plans and this is how it would look. By separating, these are the plans and this is how it would look. Currently, all we're doing is creating more and more anger. We are inflaming people who are already sad. That doesn't help by just giving somebody to blame. So if we're blaming the Liberal government, fine. If it was a Conservative government, would it have been better? We don't know. We can't tell these kinds of things. So I think instead of like how are we responding, it's like what are we responding with? So, if we want to separate from Canada.
Well, I guess what I'm at, part of what I'm asking is, do we get too worked up? When there's one post on social media late at night or early in the morning from Donald Trump on wanting to make Canada the 51st state, are we making too much of that? Are we getting bent out of shape for no good reason?
I think the real issue is just that there's somebody who is sitting up making 52 tweets or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Trump, Canada, and the 51st state, that's back in the news again, but is it newsworthy? Do you think we overreact in Canada? When Donald Trump goes posting away on social media about the 51st state business, do you think we overreact when that happens? Or is it something that we have to take seriously? And maybe he means it. 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. My gosh. I mean, our very territorial sovereignty could be at stake here, ladies and gentlemen, and there are 4 lines available for Talkback today. Abraham, those in Calgary, let's take his call. Hello, Abraham.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
Yeah, very good, Abraham. What do you think?
I think, man, this is the reason why a lot of people don't believe what they see in the news anymore. They just believe what they see now in social media. It's because of things like this that they keep posting. Oh, Trump said this, let's make this a headlines, and they keep talking about the 51 state. There's a lot more going on in the world, like especially right now the hot topic is about the Iran war and the U.S., the ceasefire. I'd rather read about that than, just a person, like you said, he tweets like 100 tweets in a day and then suddenly it becomes a headline in Canada. So like these news channels need to do like more better at their job than just posting ridiculous stuff like these.
You think we are overreacting in the news
100%.
media, for example?
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. I mean,
100%.
look in Canada itself, there's so much going on, right? And we're here talking about what Trump is saying. Like I don't know if we're in a recession or not, but I own a business and of course like sales are really down this year and how expensive gas is, like how expensive it has got for people to live. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about a solution. Let's talk about people's, the disaster that we're dealing with right now. That's what we need to talk about. And as a business owner, I'm having a hard time paying my bills. So I wonder how middle class people are living right now. Let's talk about that. Instead of talking about 51 state, like what is that going to do? Okay, we're going to keep talking about it, and where is it going to get? Nowhere. It's just a waste of time.
Just a waste of time. Okay, thank you. Yep, good to hear from you today. 1-833-668-2577. You hear it there. Lots of other stuff that we could talk about other than the 51st state. We're overreacting when we do this, and yet we focus on it. Yes, we do. We get sucked into it. Musafar in Calgary as well. Musafar.
Hi, Rob. Good morning. How are you?
Yeah. I'm very good. How are you?
Oh, very good. Okay, I think we should not take it seriously, but he's a kind of joker here. He's trying to take over every country, Cuba, Venezuela, even Iran. So I'm not sure what he wants, but it is strange that a president of the United States will talk about these things. He should be serious, man, but I think he's making a joker out of him. So I don't think we should take seriously. We should focus on our affairs here and try to build our economy independently of United States. And I think Mike Carney is doing a good job for getting to other countries in Asia and Europe to do the trade. So I think that will make the difference. We'll be doing fine without the USA. And if anybody wants to
well, I don't know if we would do fine without the USA. I mean, it's right next door. It's our largest trading partner. It's one of the biggest trading relationships, if not the biggest trading relationship in the world. And, look at how our economy is doing, just given, the tension in the relationship right now.
Before. We never had any problem with any president before, but this president has been really hitting everybody hard, trying to make everybody miserable. And in the meantime, I think he's getting miserable, and now he's not getting his way through into Iran. And now he's trying to just shoot at everybody to make look like he's winning the battle all around the globe.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when
don't
this
think we
hits
should take it
social
seriously.
media, when it hits social media, I mean, do you think the news media has a responsibility to ask Prime Minister Carney about it, or to ask Pierre Poilievre about it, or should the news media just ignore stuff like that?
They can ask, but I think we should ignore it. It'll go with I think next election when happens in USA, probably he loses a majority in the Congress, and I think he's going to be impeached very soon. Because the Americans are even fed up with him doing things that are not respectable for a country that's that big and large and powerful. I think he's making things like might is right. I can do anything. I can do anything to anybody.
Well, I mean, the war is, to your point, the war is certainly unpopular. What it's done to the cost of living, along with the tariffs in the United States, is not popular. The president is not popular. His handling of the economy doesn't get good grades on that. The Republicans themselves are not popular. The problem, I guess, in the United States is that nobody really thinks the Democrats would do any better. So, yeah, it's a strange dynamic, isn't it? Okay. Thank you, Muzaffar in Calgary. 1-833-668-2577. Lots of lines available to take your call today. And let's kick it around, okay? With your help. Love to hear from you on Talkback today. I'm Rob Snow. This is Now You Know. It's News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Do we overreact in Canada when Trump puts something on social media about wanting to make Canada the 51st state, or do we have to take that seriously when he puts those missives up on Truth Social? What do you think? 1-833-668-2577, and have your say. Lots of lines available. Wait won't be too long as we go to David on Talkback today. Hello, David.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, David. How are you?
Good. Anyway, with regard to your subject, I need you talk about it being reported every time Trump talks about 51st state. I need your media people to do some fact checking for me, and here's the reason why. My understanding is that to annex, example, Canada or Alberta, they need 100% approval vote in the House in the U.S. End result, if that's the case, there's no way that a Republican president, Donald Trump, would take a Democratic country and add it to their voter list, because all he's doing is shooting himself in the foot. I do believe that oftentimes Trump talks just to hear himself, and probably would do far better with not doing it. One more add on to that. Trump would take Alberta in a heartbeat because we would be a Republican state, but the Democrats wouldn't allow that. That's my.
But nevertheless, I mean, we've been through this for a year and a half now, David. You know, some Canadians do feel threatened, as though our sovereignty is being compromised. You know, this led to the whole elbows up thing. Canada is not for sale of last year, but that's a year and a half ago, right? So are we overreacting now? Do we overreact now? Because we have members of the press gallery. Sorry, go ahead, David.
Go ahead. Yes. Sorry. In my opinion, we've always overreacted.
We've always overreacted. Okay.
We've always overreacted.
And why do you say that? Because you're going back to your case. Think about what we're talking about here. It would never happen anyway.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. David, thank you for your call to Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. Linda is on the line. Hello, Linda.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very good, Linda. Yeah. Thank you. How are you?
Great.
That's good. Good. Glad to hear it. Now that we have the pleasantries out of the way, what's your opinion?
Yeah. I think Donald Trump is playing with Canada. He's not serious one tiny little bit. Is probably doing it more or less to annoy Mark Carney. I don't know that, but I do believe he is not serious about making Canada the 51st state. It's crazy. It's not his intention, and I don't know why he stirs that pot every once in a while, but he seems to take great pleasure in doing it, whatever the reason is. And I feel that when he did it the last time and Mark Carney put his elbows up, it cost us dearly in the election.
Well, it costs you dearly if you're a conservative supporter. For
I
example,
am.
if you're a liberal, I suppose you'd be very happy with it, right? It was certainly beneficial to the Liberals in the last election. There's no question about that. And I'm sure, say the Liberal strategists, when they saw that posting and then the press gallery asking about it, they were probably happy that they were going to ask the Prime Minister about that again, because it's good for the Liberals when that question is asked. But is it newsworthy, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at, or are we overreacting?
We're
we
overreacting.
See something like that. We're overreacting. You think it's an overreaction?
I agree with a lot of the points David made, the previous caller.
Okay.
I think along the same lines as him, and I think Canada overreacted badly. And the news media, not saying you, but TBC beat it to death and to death and to death some more. And I'm telling you, Rob, I talked to friends. They were actually afraid that the U.S. was going to invade Canada. And I'm not kidding you.
Yeah, and there are some people who still believe that could happen. Or that they, for example, there's great concern. Some of it probably legitimate, that they're going to certainly have some role to play in the upcoming Alberta referendum. One way or another, they'll insert themselves into that conversation. They've been doing that already from time to time.
That may be. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, the U.S. right now has got so much on its plate with the war with Iran and what's going on in Ukraine. And now there's rubs with Israel. I don't even know how he even thinks to tweet out this nonsense about Canada becoming the 51st state. The man must never sleep.
Okay, thank you. Good to hear from you. And keep those calls coming, folks. 1-833-668-2577. Lots of lines available. Wait won't be too long. Fit you right in and let you have your say on this 51st state stuff. Here we go again with this. I'm Rob Snow. This is Talkback. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
On Trump, on Canada, on the 51st state, whether we overreact. First time caller in Saskatoon. Rick is on the line. Hello, Rick. Hi, Rick.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, Rick. Good to hear from you. What's your opinion, Rick?
My opinion is we spend too much time on Trump's 10 seconds it took him to tweet it out, and we dwell on it. And on Mark Carney, I'm waiting for my aha moment to figure out what he's actually done in his last 14 or 15 months. You keep hearing all the polls of his 50% voter rating. And if he's got so much popularity, why is he backroom dealing for all the four-crossers?
Well, I mean, to ensure more, certainly political stability for his own party. I mean, it beats having a majority than a minority government. There's not much compromise that needs to happen if you have a majority government. But you think we make too much of it? We sort of blow it out of proportion when Donald Trump says something about the 51st state?
I feel it's totally blown out of proportion.
Totally blown out of proportion.
Our media hangs on his every tweet. I don't believe he's that terrible of a leader. I think he tends to babble, and the media runs with it.
Okay. So do you think, the reason I want to bring this up, one of the many reasons is, do you think it's incumbent on the media when something like that hits social media from Donald Trump that we ask the Prime Minister of Canada about it? Or we ask the leader of the opposition about it? Because it's that important.
I feel that we've kind of made our own bed. I don't know if what Carney says to Trump holds much value. I believe it's, but I just feel the media's got to back off Trump, and he gets it on every late night TV show you watch. He gets it, everything he says. He's under the microscope, and he loves it, and he rattles stuff off, and we hang on every word he says.
Right. So we do blow it out of proportion. Thank you very much. In Saskatoon today, a first-time caller, Rick. Ken is in Calgary. Hello, Ken. What do you think, Ken?
The answer to your question is absolutely. Totally
we absolutely overreact.
Trump is a gas bag, and everybody should know that. There's no good in him, and we have him on the TV, his picture every day, 10 times a day. It's nonsense. We should totally ignore him. And
just totally ignore him?
Totally. He is probably serious. She is probably serious. But what we need to do is to look after our own backyard. Carney and all Canadians need to roll up their sleeves and get to work and build Canada. People talk about all sorts of other things, but we just need to get to work. People say we do have jobs. People say we do have jobs. There are jobs here, and what Canada needs to do is to build the infrastructure, bring people, get population, and we will have sales and market. We don't have to go all over the world forever to sell our stuff. America has the population, and that's where they have the business. So we need to do that.
Right. And just ignore Trump. Just ignore him. When he talks about the 51st state. Totally ignore him. Okay. All right. Very good. Loud and clear, Ken. Thank you. Thank you for all your calls in hour number one. More in hour number two. And again, the Prime Minister expected a rare sighting today. Mark Carney in the House of Commons during question period. We'll let you listen to some of that as well.
It's time to talk back.
On Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Call now
and have your say.
1-833-668-2577.
Welcome to hour number two of Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. Great to be with you again. Trump, Canada, in the 51st state. Yeah, Trump's at it again. Putting stuff on social media about wanting to make Canada the 51st state. And we, in the news media, we love to report on that. But do we overreact in Canada when Trump puts something on social media about wanting to make Canada the 51st state? Do you think we overreact when that happens? Or do you think that is something we have to report on? We have to take that seriously. Trump could really want to make Canada the 51st state. What do you think? 1-833-668-2577. All of our lines are available right now. The wait won't be too long at all. I have to say, I mean, it's all coming up roses for the Liberal government in Ottawa lately. I mean, the country's economy is in a technical recession. There's no trade deal with the Trump administration. Really no sign that one is imminent. Some tariffs on Canada could be going up again. We have separation movements in Alberta, in Quebec. We have lots of anxiety still about the cost of living. Inflation is up, unemployment is up, and yet the government's popularity is also up. Go figure. I mean, there is a poll out today from Leger, and it says support for the Carney Liberals is at 50%. 50%. I mean, 40% was always considered to be kind of the high watermark for any political party. Like, you hit 40% of the polls, You're pretty much guaranteed to get a majority government. Now we have this Carney government. It's at 50%. I mean, it's levels in modern day politics in Canada with so many parties in the House of Commons. I mean, you think, how many are there? We've got the Liberals, we've got the Conservatives, we've got the NDP, we've got the Greens, we've got the Bloc. That one party would get 50% support, almost unheard of nowadays. I mean, Justin Trudeau is winning elections with barely 33% of the vote. This is the most popular government in Canada, according to Leger's polling, in 23 years. 23 years. This poll has the Conservatives at 34%. They've been there for a while. The NDP suck at 6%, although the recent polls really don't show this. There's actually been a slight narrowing of the race, and the NDP support, according to other polls, has rebounded a bit, up to 15, maybe even 16%. So maybe this poll is an outlier. But if it's not an outlier, what we have before us is the most popular federal government since Jean Chrétien's Liberal government rejected the request from then U.S. President George W. Bush to have Canada join the U.S.-led invasion of Iraq. That's how far back you have to go to see this level of support for any government in Ottawa. Mr. Carney has been the prime minister for a little more than a year, and he's more popular now than when he first took over the job. The Liberals have 62% support in Atlantic Canada, 50% support in Quebec, 52% support in Ontario, 56% support in BC. Most Canadians think the Prime Minister's doing a good job. Overall approval rating, 56%. He's most popular with older voters, with an approval rating among older voters of 67%. I mean, and Liberals, they just love the guy. His approval rating with self-identified Liberal supporters sits at 93%, meaning basically he can do no wrong. And now you throw into all of that Donald Trump in the 51st state. Donald Trump in the 51st state, and you can bet his poll numbers will improve because of that. And the reaction in the Prime Minister's office was probably, thank you, Donald. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Thank you, Mr. President. Because we have seen this before. Every time Donald Trump says something about the 51st state and wanting to make Canada the 51st state, support for the Liberals goes up. I mean, it's like another gift from the heavens. It's like a gift from MAGA for the Liberals and Mark Carney. Who knows? Maybe next week they'll be at 60%. And you could bet that the reaction from the opposition leader's office, Pierre Poilievre's office, was probably, oh my God. Because they know on the conservative side, they have seen it, they have lived through it. Every time Donald Trump says anything about wanting to make Canada the 51st state, the conservatives, they come out on the losing end of that. And they are asked to comment on it, and it doesn't seem to matter what Pierre Poilievre says about it. It's like just kind of a losing proposition for him. He can't win for losing. When he has to answer a question about that, like he did yesterday. Let's listen to a little bit of this. He's asked by the members of the press gallery on Parliament Hill, Trump. Mr. Poilievre, what do you think about it? He called it a silly distraction. Let's listen to that.
News of a recession has Donald Trump once again saying they're the 51st state. What is your comment to Donald Trump using the recession to now once again joke, I guess, about Canada being the 51st state?
It's ridiculous, and it's never going to happen. And we have to make sure that we don't allow ridiculous comments like that to distract us from the very real suffering that Canadians are experiencing as a result of Liberal policies here at home. The families who can't afford food, the 1 in 4 Canadians who are living in food insecurity. They don't want us to be distracted by a foolish comment like that. They want us to focus on reversing the Liberal policies that have made them hungry in the first place.
It's ridiculous. It's a distraction. It's foolish. Why aren't we talking about the recession? I mean, is there not a point where you kind of feel sorry for the guy? Last Friday, there's an economic report says Canada's economy is in a recession. The Prime Minister goes to ground, doesn't say a word about it for 5 days. And on the same day he emerges to talk about it, he gets a gift wrapped up with a bow on social media from the White House, and Donald Trump saying 51st state, 51st state. Do we overreact when that happens, though? It's not the first time it's happened. It's not the first time we've reacted to it in the news media with our political leaders. But are we overreacting when Donald Trump says anything about the 51st state? Have your say on Talkback. It's hour number 2. And the call-in line is 1-833-668-2577. And again, a special appeal to first-time callers. If you've never called before, love to hear from you. Make your call a priority on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
On Trump and Canada and the 51st state, do we overreact in Canada when Trump puts something on social media about wanting to make us the 51st state? I feel like I've asked you that before about the 51st state, but I have to ask you again. Angie in Calgary is up next on Talkback. Hello, Angie.
Hello, Rob. How are you today?
Oh, I'm good, Angie. How are you?
Great. I hear you've been very busy. But anyway,
yeah.
This 51st state comments from Mr. Trump, he's got something wrong with his mind. Every time, he's got nothing better to do, that's what he comes back to. And it's a huge process. He can't just come over and conquer Canada. That's ridiculous. I mean, there are legislations, laws, and people and everything. Like, he's just not right in his head. And that's all there is.
Right in his head. Okay. Do you think, though, we overreact? Are we overreacting to a late night tweet from the U.S. president when he, all he put on social media was 51st state, 51st state. That's it. That's all.
We do overreact because he wants to hype up people. And he's good at that. I think everybody by now should know the way he goes and tweets stupid comments, he's got something wrong with his head, and he does get people hyped up. When he started this war with Iran, he said, we'll be over in 2 or 3 weeks. It'll be finished. We're into the third, fourth month. We don't have starving people. He has created the people and the cost of everything going up because he started the war. We in Canada, we are very strong. We have a good, strong economy. But because he started the war, the whole world is suffering.
Well, I would dispute that we have a good, strong economy. We have an economy that's in a recession, as I'm sure you've heard.
Yes, it is. But you know what? Carney's doing a good job of bringing in a lot of investors. And he's trying to strengthen the economy and creating jobs with these huge projects. So 1 year into his position, I think he's done pretty good. Like, he's gone out and made sales calls, as you say it, traveling and everything. But you have to do those cold calls to bring the business to Canada. And that's what he's succeeding in doing. We haven't seen
but on the, circling back to the Trump stuff, though, you think we're getting a little bent out of shape on that?
Yes.
Yes.
We need to
okay.
ignore it.
Thank you. I've got to move along, Angie. Thank you for your call. I appreciate it. To Waterloo. Jack is in Waterloo. Hello, Jack.
Hey, how you doing, big buddy?
Very good, Jack. Thank you. What's your opinion?
My opinion, that previous caller that we just talked to, she unfortunately isn't the problem. She's misled by.
She's misled.
Hold on. Hang loose.
Okay, we'll just wait for you.
Yeah, that woman is misled. That woman just told the whole world, your audience, untruthful nonsense. Our economy has had 3 of 4 negative quarters. That isn't a recession, period. Not technical recession, a recession. 140,000 people in Canada have left, including immigrants and the 1%ers, okay? This country is going to go down hard, and you're going to blame it on Donald Trump. Well, what a convenient patsy. I mean, this is beyond absurd that we think that after...
Are you with me, Jack? Did I lose you, Jack? Is he gone, Curtis? Yeah, he's gone. Okay. That's that's too bad. He was just kind of getting fired up there, wasn't he? Okay, let's play this, okay? This is Mr. Carney's in Quebec City yesterday. $10 billion announcement for public transit in Quebec. And he's also asked about the 51st state stuff. And he's asked whether he would kick the U.S. ambassador out of Canada for sharing Donald Trump's offending post on social media about the 51st state. Play that, Curtis, for us.
The U.S. president is once again making his 51st state jab. And the U.S. ambassador to Canada reshared it. Is this an ambassador that Canada can work with? Or is it time to ask him to leave?
Look, the short answer is no to the second part of your question. And it's an administration that we have to work with. It's our biggest trading relationship. It's our biggest security relationship, many other relationships. And we work with that administration. We take the administration as it is and are working together on a number of areas. And I'll just underscore, and I know there are other questions, I'll just underscore that Minister LeBlanc and Madame Charette, une autre Madame Charette, our negotiator-in-chief, not negotiatrice en chef, they were in Washington today working with the U.S. administration discussing our trading relationship.
Just to follow up on that, does the 51st state jab at this point impact those trade negotiations happening in Washington?
The president is an exceptionally active user of social media. You probably can chart his usage of it. It's only gone up in recent months, and we're not going to respond or react to everything that he posts.
Okay, so that was Prime Minister Mark Carney yesterday. We take it as it is. We're not going to kick the U.S. ambassador out of Canada for something he posted on social media. We're trying to work on a deal. I don't pay any attention to it. It's having no impact on our relationship. But I bet you he's happy when Donald Trump said that. That's just my own opinion, because every time that happens, support for Mark Carney and support for his government just keeps going up, and it's pretty high already. 1-833-668-2577. This is Talkback on News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Well, a lot of people on Parliament Hill have been waiting to see this, a rare sighting in the House of Commons with the Prime Minister in the House. He makes a habit of this on Wednesdays, being in the House of Commons. Lots of talk about recession, of course. And he has just squared off with the leader of the opposition, Mark Carney and Pierre Poilievre. Roll the tape, please.
The group of 20 nations are all faced with the same tariffs, wars, and energy prices. Yet 19 of the G20 countries are not in recession. That's true. One country is in recession. Will the leader of the only G20 country in recession please stand up?
That is not a question, it's a request. We'll go on to the next question.
Interesting.
Canada's had 2 consecutive quarters of shrinking GDP, the only country in the G20 that can say that. We've lost 112,000 jobs in the first 3 months of this year. And that has left our country with a quarter of its people in food insecurity. Will the Prime Minister tell us whether we are in a recession or a technical recession?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, first may I wish the Leader of the Opposition a very happy birthday. Secondly, I'll even give him his question back, Mr. Speaker. Petit cadeau à vous.
A little gift for you.
What this government is doing is putting in place the foundations of an economy that will be stronger, more resilient, more independent. We are seeing, in the face of U.S. tariffs, in the face of global uncertainty, in the face of higher energy prices, we are seeing business investment accelerating. We are seeing wages growing twice the rate in the United States. We are seeing this country put in place the conditions for sustained prosperity.
The honourable leader of the opposition.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate his birthday wishes. I am 47. But that's 50 with inflation. But what I really want as a Christmas gift from a birthday gift from this Prime Minister is someone who will actually answer the question. And Canadians deserve answer, not misinformation. We've had 2 consecutive declining quarters of GDP growth. We are the only country in the G7 that can say that. The only country in the G7 that has seen the economy shrink in 3 of the last 4 quarters, the only country whose GDP is smaller than it was a year ago when the Prime Minister took office. So, really tell us, are we in a recession or a technical recession? Which is it?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, it's very painful on someone's birthday when you give them a present and they give it back to you. Mr. Speaker, I'll do.
All right. Come back to that maybe later. Barb's back and forth. Yes, it is Pierre Poilievre's birthday, born June 3rd, 1979. He is 47 years old, born in Calgary, of course. Back to it with more of your calls as well on Talkback. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Yeah, welcome back to Talkback. I'm Rob Snow. Again, all our lines are available right now, so the wait won't be too long. We've been talking about Trump, the 51st state, Canada, and whether you think we're overreacting in this country when Donald Trump posts something on social media about wanting to make Canada the 51st state. That is our question today. Do you think we overreact when that happens, when the U.S. president puts something on Truth Social about wanting to make Canada the 51st state, or is that something the news media has to report on, has to ask our political leaders about and debate? Because it's a serious threat to the sovereignty of Canada when the U.S. president says something like that about a country right next door that has been a long and trusted ally of the United States. I will say, 1-833, by the way, 1-833-668-2577. 1-833-668-2577. As I say, lots of lines available. Kind of lost in the Canadian coverage of this 51st state posting on social media and all the questions about it is just how prolific Donald Trump has been on social media lately. This has been reported in the U.S. media. It hasn't really come up when the Canadian news reporters, the members of the press gallery are putting the question to our political leaders. There was a story just yesterday from the Daily Beast, which is kind of a left-wing news outlet in the United States, that noted that Donald Trump has been posting on social media at all hours of the day and night, at a furious pace, at a pace that almost defies belief. This news outlet described it as manic, that he is posting things on social media about everything. And he's doing it once an hour, sometimes more than once an hour, 27 times a day. 27 times a day. Donald Trump is posting things on social media, sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes early in the morning. I mean, gosh, if it was a teenager of yours, you would say it's not healthy. Put the phone down. Take a break from that. It's not good for your mental health. You need a break from the screen time. Quote from the Daily Beast, Trump posted on Truth Social an astounding 861 times last month, sharing everything from truly deranged AI-generated memes to meltdowns, and even an image of him lounging shirtless in the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool with a bikini-clad woman. The president's posting mania is showing no signs of slowing down in the month of June. Overnight, Trump fired off a spree of 47 posts in a 31-minute period, attacking late-night comedians, referring to Canada as the 51st state, complaining about the Democrats and the media and how they have gone absolutely crazy. That was in the Daily Beast. Yet I would just say this, it's kind of lost in the context of the reporting on the 51st state stuff. When think about that, the post on the 51st state was one of 47 posts that Trump put on social media in the span of half an hour. And we have a press gallery and a tizzy about it. We have news reporters in Quebec City asking the prime minister about it. We need your immediate reaction to this. Are you going to kick the ambassador out of the country? He reposted one of these 47 posts in half an hour. Should he be expelled from the country, or are you going to summon the ambassador? So this is why I feel the need to ask you this. What do you think? Are we overreacting in this country? When Donald Trump puts something about Canada on his Truth Social account about wanting to make Canada the 51st state? Or do you think, no, I mean, that's a serious issue, and we should not be making light of that? Again, 1-833-668-2577, 1-833-668-2577. And again, all of our phone lines are available right now. We would love to hear from you. Meantime, while that is happening, also in the House of Commons, we had the question period underway, and this is the first opportunity that Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the opposition, has had an opportunity to put direct questions to the Prime Minister since that report dropped on Friday from Statistics Canada, the GDP report that showed Canada is in a technical recession. We played a little bit of the question period for you and the back and forth between the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. Let's just play a little bit more here.
On someone's birthday, when you give them a present and they give it back to you. Mr. Speaker, I'll do a little research for the Leader of the Opposition. If you'd like to ask the C.D. Howe Institute, they know the answer to that question. If they'd like to ask the OECD, which today predicts that Canada will have the second strongest economy in the G7 this year and next. That is the answer, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
It's the only promise that he made during the elections. And it's the same thing he said a few days ago.
Then they went back over to French. The Speaker of the House actually took away a question from the Leader of the Opposition, Pierre Poilievre. His very first question, when Mr. Poilievre outlined how out of all the G20 economies, Canada is the only economy that's in a recession. And Mr. Poilievre said, would the leader of the only country that's in a recession please stand up? And the Speaker of the House said, that's not a question, that's a request. And so the Prime Minister didn't have to answer it. So kind of a rebuke again for Pierre Poilievre, again from the Speaker of the House. And the Speaker of the House is, by the way, a Liberal MP. Not that that has anything to do with this. No, not of course not. 1-833-668-2577 following the day's developments here on Talkback with your help. So please call us and let us know your opinion. I'm Rob Snow. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
When it comes to Trump, the 51st state stuff, I mean, there's lots of news reporting about it. I mean, the headlines are all over the place. Carney says Canada won't expel U.S. envoy over Trump's 51st state talk. Trump tweets 51st state as Canada proposes CUSMA renewal. Trump renews 51st state threat despite Carney's efforts to appease MAGA. U.S. ambassador to Canada shares Trump 51st state post. 51st state, great discussion for Trump and Carney to have, says Ambassador Hextra, as President trolls ahead of trade talks. Carney says he's not going to respond to Trump's latest 51st state post. Trump renews 51st state rhetoric as LeBlanc admits turbulence on D.C. trip. Trump revisits idea to annex Canada, make it the 51st state. Trump again refers to Canada's 51st state. Controversial U.S. ambassador to Canada adds to Trump's many diplomatic woes, and on and on and on. It goes like that. It was one of 47 tweets in 31 minutes. And look at the news coverage. One more reason why we're asking, are we overreacting? Are we overreacting when Trump puts something like that up on social media? 1-833-668-2577. And share your opinion today on Talkback like Cal is about to do. He's out in Calgary today. Hi, Cal.
Hey, Rob. Well,
how are you, Cal?
The sun's shining today. It's a beautiful day. So
that's good. You deserve it.
So, well, Rob, I tell you what. I think everybody's looking at it the wrong way. You should take it as a compliment.
Oh, really?
Mr. Trump wants us, even though he says that Canada has nothing to offer the U.S. He still wants us. Given the fact that it would probably take years to cut through the bureaucracy, even to find a path forward going there, which I'm not saying I agree with it. However, just like a bully, just like any bully, you don't give him a reaction, it'll go away. He's just poking at everybody around the world, Canada on this specific topic, just trying to get a reaction. It's not going to happen. But,
okay. Well, I mean, I outlined the news coverage in the last 24 hours on it, trying to get a reaction. I mean, it certainly has accomplished that. But is it an overreaction on our part? And I'm talking about whether it's our political leaders or, the news media. I'm part of the news media. I've spent like 2.5 hours talking about this today.
Absolutely. But that's your job, right? To touch on the, touchy subjects. But, as a whole, as a country, I don't think people should even be upset. Be flattered. Hey, he wants us.
Well,
however, come
on. Be flattered. Be flattered. Really? Be flattered? I mean, people don't feel flattered. They feel threatened.
Well, you think the reality is that he would ever invade Canada? I can't see that happening. But, however, we're dealing with Mr. Trump here. Nothing's off the table. The bureaucracy would be years in the making to try and figure out a path forward to combining the two countries. And I just don't think it's anything to do with reality. I think it's just a bully trying to get a reaction, and that's all it is.
Yeah, but, again, when I outline the reaction, is that an overreaction?
I kind of think so, because, you think that could ever possibly happen?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No. So, worry about things that are reality that could happen. This is just, again, a bully poking at our country, trying to get a reaction, rile things up.
Well,
and, that's his MO.
Again, yeah, certainly mission accomplished on that front, I suppose, for the U.S. president. I thank you for your call. And we'll have time for maybe one, maybe two more calls as we make it to the finish line on Talkback today at 1-833-668-2577. This is News Radio.
Have something on your mind you want everyone to know?
Call now.
Hello.
1-833-668-2577.
It's Talkback on Now You Know with Rob Snow.
Let's go to Clark is in Didsbury, Alberta. Hello, Clark. Hi, Clark. Yeah, very good, Clark. What do you make of all this 51st state stuff making a comeback in the last day or so?
It's a sore toe that Trump just keeps feeding on because he thinks it's a great idea. And you have to consider the source of it. And I had a wife who dealt with dementia patients. Feed the man some friggin' medication because he's just out of friggin' control.
Yeah. What do you think of the reaction in this country? What do you think of the reaction in this country? Or are we making too much of it, getting bent out of shape over it?
We need to get bent out of shape. Number one, stand up for Canada. The other one is that there's a lot of people here that saying, "Oh, we'll be better with the U.S." No, you won't. Did you want to be part of the U.S. and that means your sons and daughters will end up fighting some war that will cover up any, whatever deaths? No, we don't need that. What we do need, dealing with Western separation is the simple idea is that Alberta and Saskatchewan need to be fully enfranchised into the government of Canada. In other words, where's all of our senators? Where, Trump went back at it, or not Trump, Peter Lougheed went at it. He had 13 points with Lalonde and Pierre Elliott Trudeau that he wanted ironed out. Harper tried to do equal and elected Senate, and everybody agreed except Ontario. So it got defeated. So we don't have a Western voice fully in the Senate. The other one is that energy. Yes, we ship a whole bunch to the U.S. because that was nice and convenient, and yeah, they got a discount. Shipping it out to the coast, excellent idea. The second point in that is that with all of the geological and seismic disruptions happening off the coast of Vancouver and Vancouver Island, they need a secondary oil port. Prince Rupert seems to be top of the list.
Okay, I don't want to go wandering off into all directions, and we're a little tight on time, so I am going to have to wrap it up there, Clark, in Didsbury, because you're bringing up issues that are kind of out of the focus today. Let's take another call from Bicyker, Alberta. I think I'm saying that right. Go ahead, Jim on the line. Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
Yeah, good, Jim. What do you think? What's your opinion on the 51st state stuff? Are we making too much of it?
Well, sure we are. Yes, we are.
Okay.
Yeah,
we are.
I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Why do you think that?
Why do I think that? Because people are still living their normal lives here. They don't really care. That's you've had lots of open lines today. I think my belief is that's because nobody thinks anything's going to happen. So that's my opinion.
Okay, I thank you for sharing it. Sorry, Jim, you had a question?
Yeah, what do you think of it? What do you think of that?
Well, I guess with everything's going on in the United States right now, I'm surprised Trump has the time to even mention Canada these days and tweet about Canada and the 51st state. And, missing, I think, and I ran down all the headlines that are in all the various news organizations across the country, missing in all of those was that it was 47 different social media posts in half an hour.
That's just crazy.
I think that kind of context is important because it puts into question just what is Donald Trump doing with so many posts on social media in such a short period of time. Some of them very late at night, some of them very early in the morning for a very old man. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all your calls today. That's it right at a time. Got to wrap it up there. Be right back tomorrow with another topic, more of your calls, and always the latest breaking news on News Radio.